You have to feel for the guy sometimes. Imagine being Elvis Presley. You changed the world. You shook up music, culture, everything. You had this raw electric talent that came from a place nobody could quite explain. It was real. It was blues and gospel and country all mixed up in your soul. You loved to sing. Genuinely loved it. You lived for it. Then Hollywood calls. And at first, it seems like a good fit. A way to get your music to even more people. Your first few movies have some edge, they have some grit, you get to play characters that feel a little bit like you. A little misunderstood, a little rebellious. And the music in those films, it's pretty great. It still has that fire, but then the formula sets in. The Colonel sees the dollar signs, and the movies become less about art and more about a product. They ship you off to Hawaii. They put you on a boat, they have you race cars, you're always surrounded by a dozen pretty girls in bikinis. And you always have to sing a song about the local scenery or some silly situation. Song after song after song, hundreds of them, most of them, you know they're junk. You're a smart guy. You know the difference between a real song and a piece of fluff written in 20 minutes to fill a scene where you're water skiing. You can see it in his eyes in those mid-60s movies, a kind of boredom, a detachment. He's professional. He shows up, he says the lines, he sings the silly songs, but the fire is gone. He's trapped in a gilded cage, singing about clam bakes and yoga. He's making a ton of money, but he's losing a piece of himself. He would tell his friends how much he hated some of those songs. He'd get the demo, listen to it, and just shake his head. But he had to do it. The contract was the contract. So when you ask if there's one movie song he genuinely loved, it's a powerful question. Was there a single piece of music from that whole Hollywood machine that cut through the noise? Or a song that wasn't about a pineapple or a pretty cousin, but about something real? A song that he felt in his gut, the same way he felt Heartbreak Hotel, or That's Alright. The evidence points to yes, there was one. A song that was so him, so pure in its attitude and its sound, that it didn't just stay in the movie. It became part of him. He carried it with him for the rest of his life. It was his personal anthem. His warning label, to find it, you have to go back. Back before the travelogues and these silly hats. Back to 1958, to New Orleans, to a movie that many consider his best, a film where he wasn't just a singer who acts, but a real actor. He played a tough kid from the wrong side of the tracks, a nightclub singer trying to make it, getting mixed up with gangsters. The character had an edge. He was vulnerable, but dangerous. He was a fighter. It's a role Elvis could sink his teeth into. It felt authentic. And in that movie, there's a scene, he's on stage in a smoky club. He's not smiling. He's not trying to be charming. He's staring down the audience, the bad guys of the world. He starts to snap his fingers. A slow, menacing rhythm. The band kicks in with a stripped-down, dirty blues riff. There are no strings, no syrupy backing vocals. It's just raw. Then he starts to sing. And the words aren't about love or fun. They are a declaration of intent. They're a warning. The lyrics are about being born standing up and talking back. About not looking for a fight, but never, ever running from one. It's a song about a man who is what he is, and he makes no apologies for it. Every line is pure, undiluted swagger. It's the kind of lyric Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf would have been proud to sing. It's a bluesman's brag, a statement of personal power. When you watch him perform it in the movie, it's electric. It's not the charming, hip-swiveling boy from the Ed Sullivan Show. This is something else. It's coiled, it's intense. His movements are sharp, jagged. He points, he sneers. He's not asking for your approval. He's telling you who he is. He's channeling every bit of the frustration, the ambition, and the defiance he must have felt as a poor kid from Tupelo, who was now on top of the world, but still had to fight for respect. The performance is so convincing because you get the feeling he wasn't really acting. He was just letting a part of his true self come out. That right there would be a good reason to think he loved it. It was a great song from his best movie, a perfect match for his persona. But that's not the whole story. The real proof comes 10 years later. By 1968, Elvis was in a bad place, creatively. He was a joke to the serious music world, the Beatles, the Stones, Bob Dylan, Jimi Hendrix, and they were changing music. And Elvis, he was making movies like Stay Away Joe, he was seen as a relic. An oldies act. The fire was almost out. He knew it. He was miserable. He decided to make a statement. He agreed to a television special. The network and the Colonel wanted it to be a cozy, family-friendly Christmas show. You know, Elvis in a tuxedo, singing carols, safe, boring. The same old trap. But Elvis, for one of the first times in a long time, put his foot down. He said no. He told the director, Steve Binder, that he wanted to do something real. He wanted to show people what he was all about. This was his one shot to reclaim his crown, to remind the world that before all the other guys, there was him. It was a comeback. The whole world was watching. What would he do? What would he sing? The show has several parts. There's an intimate in the round jam session with his old bandmates, where he's relaxed and funny and powerful, playing the music that started it all. There are big choreographed production numbers, but then there are the moments where it's just him, on a stage, alone, dressed head to toe in black leather. And what's the first song he sings in that first solo stand-up performance? The song that would reintroduce him to the world after years in the wilderness? He could have chosen any of his massive hits. Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock. Any of them would have been a safe bet, a crowd pleaser. He didn't. He walks out, the crowd goes insane, he looks lean, dangerous, a little nervous, but focused. He strikes a pose, a kind of martial arts stance. He looks like a Black Panther ready to pounce. And then he launches into that same song from 10 years earlier, the blues number, The Warning, and this time it's even more powerful. His voice is deeper, richer, and filled with a decade of frustration. He's not playing a character anymore. He is the character. When he sings the line about his daddy being a green-eyed mountain jack, he's not just singing a lyric. He's telling his own story. He's telling the Colonel, the movie producers, the critics, the whole world, I'm still here. I'm still a fighter. You pushed me into a corner, and now I'm coming out swinging. The performance is one of the most electrifying moments in music history. He snarls, he sweats, he throws himself into every word. He's not just singing a song, he's purging his demons on live television. He's taking all the disappointment of those silly movies, all the anger at being turned into a commodity, and channeling it into this one performance. He's reminding himself, as much as anyone else, of who he really is. The choice to use that specific song at that specific moment is the biggest clue we have. It was a deliberate artistic statement. In the most important show of his career, when he needed a song that was 100% pure, uncut Elvis Presley, this is the one he chose. It was his mission statement, and he didn't stop there. After the comeback, he returned to live performing. And he conquered Las Vegas and toured the country, playing to sold-out arenas, and that song stayed in his set list. Night after night, year after year, among the ballads and the rock and roll medleys, he would often pull out that raw, bluesy number. He'd perform it with a huge orchestra behind him, but the attitude was always the same. It was a way for him to connect back to that defiant, hungry kid. Even in the spangled jumpsuits of his later years, when he sang that song, you could see a flicker of the 1958 Rebel. Why that one? Out of the hundreds of songs he recorded for movies, why did this one endure for him personally? I think it's because it was real. It wasn't a pop song manufactured for a plot point. It was a genuine piece of American music written by two of the greatest rock and roll songwriters ever, Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. They understood him. They wrote Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock. They knew how to tap into his rebellious energy. They gave him a song that was musically and lyrically authentic. It had roots. It was a 12-bar blues, the foundation of everything he loved. It also perfectly captured his own self-image. Elvis saw himself as an outsider. Even when he was the most famous man on the planet, he felt like that poor boy from Mississippi fighting for his place. The song's lyrics were a perfect fit for his own mythology. It was a song about a man you don't mess with. A man who might look nice, but has a dangerous side. That's how Elvis saw himself. That's how he wanted the world to see him. And finally, it was just a blast to perform. It wasn't complicated. It didn't require him to be a romantic lead or a happy-go-lucky tour guide. It just required him to be cool, to be intense, to be Elvis. It allowed him to tap into a primal energy on stage. The stop-start rhythm, the explosive bursts of vocals, ultimate, it was a vehicle for pure performance. He could inhabit it completely. We can never know for sure what was in his head, but the evidence is pretty overwhelming. He recorded hundreds of movie songs. Most were instantly forgotten, by him more than anyone, but there was one that he kept, and one that he rescued from a 10-year-old film and used to relaunch his career. One that he carried with him as a badge of honor. A song that said everything he needed to say about himself without him having to say a word. It wasn't just a song he performed, it felt like a piece of his autobiography. The song was Trouble.